Good evening. I recently put up a video discussing that life begins outside the womb with God's breath. I should say life in the soul. Of course, there's physical life in the womb. And I've gotten a number of replies on that video, and most of them basically been emotional and theologically illiterate. There's some idea that this view begins with Ruckman, and that Ruckman is the only one teaching it, and that this is some, as one guy put it, some loony view. In fact, there was a major discussion among theologians for many, many years. But of course, since the abortion movement has been so popular lately, since Roe versus Wade, you can't discuss anything rationally anymore, theologically. None of the people who discussed it on the video, my video, actually dealt with any of the verses that would clearly saying that God gives life, gives breath at the point of birth. But people could disagree about this. There's two major views on this. There's a creationist view and there's another view called traducianism. And I'm reading from Chafer's Systematic Theology, Volume 2. The creation theory, creationism, the present theme, and traducianism, yet to be considered, are doctrines related to the origin of the immaterial part of man, which, though defended by men of equal orthodoxy, are widely different to the point of contradiction. So it's one or the other. Creationism teaches that God creates directly and immediately a soul and spirit for each body at the time of birth. Now, I don't believe that the soul was actually created directly, but I believe the life goes into the soul. The soul is actually created as part of the body in the womb, and that only the body is generated by the human parents. Traducianism teaches that the soul and spirit of men are generated along with the body. Of two great theologians, the question is not authoritatively determined, and when good men differ so widely, it is usually due to a lack of decisive testimony from the Scriptures. It is observed that in the history of the Church, creationism was largely the accepted doctrine of the Eastern Division, while traducianism was the accepted doctrine of the Western Division. The issue has been one of personal opinion, not the basis of theological order or separation. Nevertheless, great issues are involved. At once, the humanity of Christ is implicated, as well as the whole field of truth relative to the transmission of original sin and to heredity. Of the two great theologians of more modern times, Dr. Charles Hodge and Dr. William Shedd, though equally committed to the Calvinistic system of theology, Dr. Hodge contends for creationism and Dr. Shedd for traducianism. And Dr. Hodge writes, "The common doctrine of the Church, and especially of the Reformed theologians, has ever been that the soul of the child is not generated or derived from the parents, but that it is created by the immediate agency of God." And then he goes on to the arguments. So this is the point, that this is not a argument, a discussion started Ruckman, and that this is a theological issue. And if you people can't handle theology, don't be discussing things on theological threads. Clearly, you haven't read anything, and you're not rational. And so this is a major theological issue, and the Scriptures clearly would indicate that God breathes life into the child after he's born, and that gives him the life in the soul, as Job 33:4 would indicate. But people can disagree on that. That's fine. It's not the Scriptures, I think, are pretty clear on it, but there can be argument over it. But it's a discussion. It's a theological discussion, and not for people who are just going to go emotionally crazy. And if you can't handle it, stay off the threads, and block people who are not rational, who are not discussing it, and of course just using ad hominem. And this did not begin with Ruckman, and it is taught by other people. It's been taught by other theologians. It is a theological issue. It is from the Bible, and it needs to be discussed because it has other ramifications. Amen. Thank you.